Welcome to part 21. It is the second book, and it is the second chapter in the second book. So let's start. So it talks about people who don't have any faith and they deny God. They will not ascend to heaven, and they will not stay on earth. He says, also on that day, mine elect one, that's the phrase, mine elect one, will sit on the throne of glory, and their places of rest will be innumerable. It means rest everywhere. Their souls will grow strong when they see mine elect ones. It says, those that call upon my glorious name, I will allow them to live amongst the elect ones. I will transform the heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I'll transform the earth and also make it a blessing, so that the mine elect ones can dwell upon it. But the sinners and evildoers shall not set foot. So Enoch is listening to this. So then he asked the angel, who is this? Why did he go with the head of days? Are you confused? Okay, I was for a second too, because I thought just now it was God talking and saying who was going to go where and basically have, the good life in heaven and on earth. Turns out even Enoch was confused, and he asked that angel, who is this? And why did he go with the head of days? Head of days is in reference to God. God is the head of days. So who is this person or this being that is talking and saying what's going to happen? So the angel answers him. In verse 9, he says, this is the Son of Man who hath righteousness, with whom dwelleth righteousness, and who reveals all the treasures of that which is hidden, because the Lord of spirits has chosen him, and who Lot hath preeminence before the Lord of spirits in uprightness forever. So we're talking about Jesus, and Enoch did not recognize or realize who was giving him this information. So the angel quickly let him know. The angel continues, says, this Son of Man, who you see here, will raise the kings from their mighty seats and loosen the reins. He will also break the teeth of the sinners, because they do not praise him, nor humbly acknowledge whence the kingdom was bestowed upon them. Another interesting passage, because he's not upset that kings have their thrones. He's upset that they didn't acknowledge who gave them that power. So here is your reminder for the day. Whatever you have that you are grateful for, you appreciate, even if you don't think you want to appreciate it, take a moment to acknowledge where it came from and give a little bit of gratitude. So I'm going to take this moment to go do my own gratitude, but let's come back because this angel starts to describe more of what's going to happen. Okay, so part 22, again, book 2, chapter 2. So we know that the angel just let Enoch know, that was Jesus that was just speaking. So the angel actually starts going in even more. So let's read. He's talking about the unrighteous. So verse 11, he says that the countenance of the strong shall be put down, and they shall fill them with shame. Darkness will be their dwelling, and worms shall be in their bed. They shall have no hope of rising from their beds, because they do not extol the name of the Lord of spirits. These are people whose deeds manifest unrighteousness, and their power rests solely upon their riches. Their faith is in the gods which they made with their hands, and they deny the name of the Lord of spirits. Just a side note that physical gods aren't just like deities or entities or idols. It can be anything physical that you put your faith into, or that you allow make you feel like you're great. So maybe you have a fantastic car, a beautiful house, or any of these things. If that's what you are using to feel fulfilled, these are the things that they're talking about also. It says in those days, that the prayers of the righteous will ascend, as well as the blood of the righteous from the earth, and will go to the Lord of spirits. It says the holy ones who dwell above in heaven will unite with the one voice and supplicate and pray and praise. They will give thanks and bless the name of the Lord of spirits on behalf of the blood of the righteous which has been shed. It says the prayer of the righteous will not be in vain before the Lord, and judgment will come about so that they will not have to suffer for forever. In verse 19, he says, I saw the head of days when he seated himself upon the throne of his glory, And the books of the living were opened before him, and all of the hosts of heaven and all of his counselors stood before him. Books of the living. Okay, they're keeping tabs. Just want to let you all know. And the heart of the holy were filled with joy, because the number of the righteous had been offered, and the prayer of the righteous had been heard, and the blood of the righteous been required before the Lord of spirits. Isn't that nice that the hearts of the holy, so the ones that are around God, they're just happy to know that your name is in the book of living, and that, your prayers do get answered, even if it doesn't seem like it is in the moment, because sometimes they're not answered in that exact moment. You are seen, you are acknowledged, you are heard, and there are many beings that are happy that you exist. So we're going to end this clip on that. So in case you needed just a nice word, that was verse 20 of book 2, chapter. So welcome back to part 23. We're book 2, chapter 2. And we just finished just knowing that all of the holy that are in heaven are just happy to know that you exist. So verse 21 says that I saw the fountain of righteousness. This again is Enoch talking. And around it were many fountains of wisdom. So all the thirsty drank of them, and they were filled with wisdom, and their dwelling were with the righteous and holy. It says, at that hour the Son of Man was named in the presence of the Lord of spirits, and his name before the head of days. It continues to say, before the sun and signs were created, and before the stars of the heaven were made, his name was made before the Lord of spirits. Now, this part's important. This is verse 24. It says, he shall be a staff to the righteous, whereon to stay themselves and not fall, and he shall be the light of the Gentiles, and the hope of those who are troubled of heart. And all who dwell on earth shall fall down and worship before him, and will praise and bless and celebrate with song the Lord of spirits. For this reason hath he been chosen and hidden before him, before the creation of the world and forevermore. Now that part was interesting. I thought about it because it's giving all the reasons for Yeshua, Jesus, the Son of God. Like why, what is his purpose going to be? But I found it interesting that it said before the creation of the world and evermore. That was the reason. So it leads me to believe, a lot of people ask, did God know all these things were going to happen? And most people who believe would say that, yes, he knows everything. And so, his creation, right, the Son of Man, Son of God, he knew that this was going to be his purpose going forward, that after he created earth, all these things were going to happen, and he would send his son to fix it. It continues and says, and the wisdom of the Lord of spirits hath revealed him to the holy and righteous. He has preserved the lot of the righteous, because they have hated and despised this world of unrighteousness, and have hated all its works and ways in the name of the Lord of spirits. For in his name they are saved, and according to his good pleasure hath it been in regard to their life. So they use the word hated a couple times. It's a very strong and charged word. But I guess for anybody who also feels like they don't like what's happening, they don't care for the unrighteous or all this sin, the most important part that I got out of that is not to worry, right? Like Jesus was created for this purpose. And so you don't have to hold on to that anger or that disappointment in what people are doing. I also think it's important to note that, it's not our burdens to bear what's happening. All we can do is try to live a certain way and share kindness. Meet me in the next part. Part 24. So we just went through the predetermined reason why Son of Man was going to come back to earth and what the point was. So now let's go in the next few verses. It's all about what happens to the unrighteous. This book is very clear that there's just no passageway for the unrighteous. Now, the next part that I want to talk about is verse 33. So it's book 2, chapter 2, verse 33. And this, I think, is also important. It says, and in him dwells the spirit of wisdom, and the spirit which gives insight, and the spirit of understanding and of might, and the spirit of those who have fallen asleep in righteousness. Also, just to point out, I said in a previous part that I'd noticed that they talked about the spirit of wisdom as if it were an entity that came here and left. And then the Bible itself talks about Jesus coming here and leaving. Well, here, it actually kind of confirms a little bit what I thought, where it talks about him embodying the spirit of wisdom. So it is one of many spirits that he has. And I just find it to be an interesting correlation. I also like that it says, in him is the spirit which gives insight, the spirit of understanding. This is important because even just reading the Book of Enoch, you're going to see comments or questions, people saying, should we read this? Is this real? Like what? It's not for you to ask another human being, right? It's for you to go to your creator, God, go to the Son of God, and you ask. It's telling us here that insight is in him. The spirit of understanding is in him. And so anything in life that you are unsure about what you should be following, listening, before you ever go to another person, you go to the one that inhabits the understanding in them, who inhabits insight. That is your best answer. Side note, in anything that I read, I will never tell you what to believe, and I won't even tell you if I think it's necessarily true. What I will always say is that you have to go to your source and find out. And anyone that tells you differently, you should be careful of. Anyone that tells you to believe them or trust them, you only put your trust and your faith in God, and that is it. Verse 34 says, and he shall judge the secret things, and none shall be able to utter a lying word before him. He is the elect one before the Lord of spirits, according to his good pleasure. It says, they shall have no honor through the name of the Lord of spirits, yet through his name shall they be saved. The Lord of spirits will have compassion, for his compassion is great. I took that part to mean that, grace isn't bestowed on us because we're doing things in the name of the Lord of spirits. It's given to us through him because of his compassion for us, not for what you have done. It's how he feels. Meet me in the next part. Okay, so part 25. So we've learned that we are saved because of his love, not because of our acts of kindness or goodness or good deeds. So it continues on to say, in those days shall the earth also give back that which has been entrusted to it. Sheol also shall give back that which it has received. Sheol refers to the unseen realm of the dead, like the present place of the dead are. And it then goes on to say, and hell shall give back that which it owes. So God is being clear. You're giving me back everything that is mine in the end. It says, in those days the elect one shall arise, and he shall choose the righteous and holy from among them. So we have learned through all these parts that there are areas where once someone passes away, that's where they go and they sit and they wait for the judgment day. And here it is also letting us know that on that day, everyone has to rise, and he's going to pick from there all the righteous and all the holy people. And the elect one shall in those days sit on my throne, and his mouth shall pour forth all the secrets of wisdom and counsel, for the Lord of spirits hath given to him and hath glorified him. So Jesus is going to be spitting facts, okay? In those days shall the mountains leap like rams, and the hills also shall skip like lambs satisfied with milk. And the faces of the angels in heaven shall be lighted up with joy. I swear the descriptions in these ancient and old texts are like funny. But okay, so mountains and hills will be skipping. Just remember that. Enoch goes back to talking, and he says that after I saw the visions, at that point I was carried off into a whirlwind, and they took me towards the west. He says, my eyes saw the secret things of heaven, a mountain of iron, a mountain of copper, a mountain of silver, and a mountain of gold, a mountain of soft metal, and a mountain of lead. Enoch asked the angel, what things are these which I have seen in secret? The angel says, all these things which thou hast seen shall serve the dominion of his anointed, that he may be potent and mighty on earth. The angel continues and says, wait a little, and there shall be revealed unto thee all the secret things which surround the Lord of spirits. The angel says, all of these mountains will be in the presence of the elect one, as wax before the fire, and like the water which streams down from above, they shall become powerless before his feet. The angel continues, in those days that none shall be saved, either by gold or by silver, and none be able to escape. There shall be no iron for war, nor shall one clothe oneself with a breastplate. Bronze shall be of no service, and tin shall be of no esteem, and lead shall not be desired. So they're being clear here that all the things that we're using for war, it's going to mean nothing in front of Jesus. It's all just going to melt.